Hello, good evening. Wednesday D&D night thing I still don't have ready yet. Sam, what happened last week?
So last week we picked up our session in the middle of combat with people in various states of about to die.
Mhm.
Fought our battle. People got dangerously low. Lilith almost got executed. She hasn't dealt with the emotions of that yet. We'll probably get to that later eventually. I don't know. Other notable thing that happened is the gnome controller, when he died, his armor completely melted away. He got replaced with some sort of fire elemental thing, and that thing kept fighting. We have no evidence to bring back of that, unfortunately. But we did win our fight. We salvaged the cores from the Lancer and the Bolters. And we found the body of the first scale after a bit of sleuthing to figure out how he got here, what he did to fight, and where he went to bleed to death. Uh, we did not manage to find the controller's camp or the fallen first scale's lance, unfortunately, because we didn't want to stay too long to have reinforcements dropped on our heads. So we got the body, loaded up, and left, heading back to the Shalsir Roost.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody have anything they want to add? No? Okay. Yeah, at the end of last session, I basically said that once everything was wrapped up there at the end of the combat, the body was acquired. That you would all make the trek back to the roost, and we were just going to have that time pass. Wherein you would, over the course of this week, level up and then arrive at the roost with an opportunity to rest, if that's what you all wish to do.
Oh, please, we're desperate.
Yeah, it would be highly
Yes,
advised.
please.
Yeah.
So after a couple of hours of hiking from back from the way you came, you will arrive. We're just going to use midnight. Midnight seems like a very dramatic time to arrive back at the roost, bleeding, bruised, and with the body of the first scale. The door is answered in much the same way, with extreme caution and with an extremely large dwarf clad in very complicated interlocking ivory plate mail and a ginormous shield. And then you are quickly ushered inside, where the door is shut and bolted again. Doesn't take long for people to find places to rest, clatter to the ground, in which the various coppers that are present with any kind of medical proficiency and healing talents tend to your wounds, while you give them a report as to what happened while you were gone. At this juncture, you can either spend the time talking to the NPCs, or you can just go straight into your rest. We can begin at the morrow of the following day.
I don't think Roz has a whole lot to say. I think she's gonna face plant into a bedroll because she got the crap beat out of her.
Mm-hmm. I think it goes without saying, I think everybody did.
Yeah, it was a tough combat.
Yeah, I think if they had any questions, Audie might be awake enough to answer them for a little bit and sleep, rest.
Yeah. You would essentially be led through a debrief. They wouldn't keep you for too long, probably a half hour at most, and then they would insist you get your bed rest. So as long as somebody was able and willing, they would basically learn everything you guys experienced collectively. Take the body of the first scale from you, and then give you rain to rest and recuperate. Anything anybody needs to do before before sleep?
Nope.
Okay. There's nothing pressing. Take your long rest if you haven't already. I think I'd be better about where I put my notes for things.
I think at some point during the night, before she goes off to trance, Lilith is just going to ask if she can restock her arrows while she's here, since it seems like everyone's going to be leaving it tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, they'll happily replenish your arrows. Same goes for pretty much any form of simple ammunition. So arrows, crossbow bolts, they will happily provide. Things a bit more complicated like Corona's shotgun shells, they can't really do much about, unfortunately.
Excellent. I had 1 bolt left.
Yeah, I went through almost 25 arrows in this mission.
Mm-hmm.
And Titan sold off all his ranged stuff.
But you made it work all the same. You know what? We didn't mention it, but Titan tackled a lancer right out of a tree.
All right.
Yeah, that's where that feather fall spell ended up going. Because you kind of originally had this idea, and so when it came back up again, I'm like, well, Titan would do this because he's got a safety blanket, and it's definitely going to be very advantageous if he succeeds. And he basically slam dunked that thing out of the tree. So
Awesome. Hooray.
yeah, it was good. It was good.
Glad it worked. Eventually, when someone else was playing.
Okay. So the following morning arrives. For those of you that are up a little bit earlier than most, aka Lilith, you would notice during your time that two members of the Roosters, if you will, are always on watch, and then they rotate out with another 2 every 2 hours. Eventually, when everyone comes to, you can smell food that is being prepared on a a very basic like metal arm that's slung over that central glowing crystal hearth that they have. You are beckoned to a new day. Did you all rest well? The second scale inquires of you all.
Yeah. Feel awful, but yeah, rested fine.
Well, you did survive. I suppose that is the most important thing at the end of this entire ordeal. And have done something that we were struggling to do ourselves, which has provided us a passage out of here that will be significantly safer than it was.
Of course.
We don't think they're going to bring in another controller on our way out.
I'm sure they will in time when they realize they've stopped receiving communications, which is why it is extremely likely we should be leaving today. You're already able to. I would even say we do so before the sun gets too high in the sky.
What are you doing with your commander?
We were going to see him off in the traditional fashion that all vaulters go when they've passed on from this plane to the next. Which is to say, you and all of your friends are welcome to observe if you would so like to do so.
I think I would. Yeah.
Once you all have had something to eat, and they gestured to the pot of bubbling stew, and have had a chance to wake up, stretch, become alert, we will do our final preparations and we'll leave all together. Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Last check-in. Morning of, you've had a chance to heal up. Anything that is of particular import to do?
Quick question, because it doesn't update it automatically. A long rest, I lose a point of exhaustion, right?
You do, yeah.
Yay.
I think just out of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
after finishing breakfast, Lilith is going to try to expand her senses using her social skill. See if there's anything lingering in the area.
I see.
Ask if they're okay.
Okay. Let's let me go grab a quick reference for myself. And the question is, are you okay?
Pretty much. She doesn't have any specific knowledge she just wants to make sure if there's anything there, they're okay.
Do me a favor and roll a percentile die.
Oh boy. Shit, I dropped my D10. God, it's black and it's dark. I'm just gonna roll 20.
Oh no.
2.
2. 2, you say. Great. That's
This is
nice.
for that 100 that I rolled the last campaign.
It really is. So you sit there and your consciousness kind of reaches towards the amulet, and through the amulet you feel it sort of reach out with that supernatural, not quite familiar force, something that is completely alien to you, but all the same something you've experienced numerous times and is always kind of lingering in the background while you interact with Callista. Or Bellathor. And as you reach out, you can tell that immediately there isn't a response. There isn't like that tiny thread that lingers off into the distance for anywhere for something that would respond to the lingering question you have. And then something very different happens, wherein if the ghosts you've spoken to using this ability are attached to you via thread, there is a moment where you feel like an immensely heavy chain is suddenly thrown around your neck. And there's a presence you can feel. It is deep and dark and looming. It's oppressive. And the more that you kind of are trapped here by this presence, you realize it actually isn't as bleak or as black or as dark as you want it to make it believe you to. Wow, I can't talk. It would not make you believe. And that in this darkness, you begin to catch little flecks of gold and then a voice. Why would I be fine when I have been imprisoned for so long?
Very shocked and kind of reaching up to grab at her neck. She having trouble breathing.
Not in a physical sense, but in a mental sense. You ever been?
Yeah.
You ever been affected by shock? That moment where your brain stops communicating correctly with the rest of your body. That's what this feels like.
She'll struggle a bit and just ask, "Who are you?"
I would like for you to make a wisdom save.
This is so good at these. Come on, Cloak of Protection. You're my only bonus. 5.
Wow. You ask the question, and even before you receive an answer, you feel ice run down your spine. An innate primal fear given to creatures that know it has encountered something extremely dangerous. Titan, from where you are in the room, you're going about preparations. You know, the mission's completed. You're getting your stuff together. People are getting ready. The roosters are preparing their gear, making final preparations to abandon their outpost. You know, things are going on, right?
Yep.
You know, Lilith is over there. She oftentimes will have moments where she'll stare off. She's talking to either Callista or Bellathor, as you do when you have a bunch of, you know, unwanted guests living in your head. Except now, when you look over and you something drew you in that moment to go look at Lilith, something that only you at a very deep down level would recognize. And you can see it in the tension that is in Lilith's body. She's being afflicted by dragon fear.
Oh, damn. Do I know of any way of helping somebody fight through that?
This one's extremely hard because it's not really something that you've experienced directly,
yeah.
like notes you've maybe taken, and even then, you think, because you're not sure how she's being affected by it, there's clearly not a dragon in the room other than yourself, and you're not doing this. So you think if you can try to help Lilith snap out of it, it might work.
Yeah. I think that in that case, Titan's gonna go grab Roz.
Okay. Yeah, people going about their business preparations. Titan goes to you, Roz.
Lilith is gonna need you. Like, now. She's experiencing dragon fear. Something weird's going on.
What?
If we can shock her out of it.
Okay. All right. I won't ask too many questions. Just tell me what to do.
And yeah, he'll head over. As I don't want to start with hitting her. If you have a more gentle way of shocking her.
I have something. All right. Lilith. Roz is gonna reach out and touch Lilith on the shoulder real quick, try to get her attention.
Roz, you notice when you reach out to touch her, she's practically radiating heat.
Roz is going to wrap her arms around Lilith, look her dead in the eye and go, Lilith, don't be afraid. You are stronger than whatever is happening to you right now. You're a hero. You're a bearer stamped hero. You understand me? And Roz is going to cast heroism on Lilith. She's immune to fear.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Lilith, you've asked a question and you've felt this overbearing presence begin to crush you. And the answer to the question doesn't even come right away, and you can continue to feel that gravity build. You feel like as if wherever you are, that whatever form you exist in here is going to be broken into tiny pieces as the answer to the question is arriving. You feel like as if hearing the name itself will be too much to bear. And it is as you begin to hear the voice rumbling and booming start to speak is when somewhere a great distance away, there's a tiny voice. You think it's familiar to you. And in a snap moment, something rips you back. And you're back in the roost. Drenched in sweat. Hot like you have a fever.
Her eyes are, she's probably like just kind of been standing there, eyes wide, staring off into space, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her eyes like focus again, and she takes a deep breath, very suddenly, sharply inhaling, and kind of wobbles.
Hey, you alright?
Very quickly looks around. I think so.
You seemed real spaced out. Titan said that you were struck by dragon fear or something.
That's what that was. And yeah.
Was it from the artifact?
I reached out and sorry. I heard a voice and they said they were trapped, but it was like there was a chain around my neck.
It might give us a little bit of a hint as to what is being kept in this tower. Right. Well, don't go reaching out to it again. I don't think that this one's good news.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting I might hear from the first scale, but it's I'm okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for all you did yesterday, too. And you in there, Callista, you deserve a thank you, too. I fell a long way down, and I probably would be dead if not for your efforts and power. So, Roz is going to give Lilith a little kiss on the cheek. That's for you, Callista. Thank you.
In your head, Lilith, you just hear her go, "Oh, that's so sweet to finally be acknowledged for all my hard work."
Right, well, get your breakfast and let's get out of here, all right?
Yeah.
Well, Let me look you over first. Titan will do a medicine check.
Go for it.
Make sure she's all right. 17.
She's showing several signs of a couple of abnormalities that doesn't have a logical reason other than the fact that you acknowledge she suddenly came under dragon fear somehow, which is shock, and another bodily response that, as I said, elevated her body's temperature quite high. She was, teetering at a high fever for a couple of 10, 15 seconds, and then it dropped after Roz cleared it with a spell. So she's probably okay. But probably should also take it a little easy today too. No pitched combats, ideally.
Then, yeah, Titan will just communicate that. Just, be careful, kid. That can take a toll on the body. You've got to, maybe keep your distance if combat breaks out. I know you try to anyways, but just be careful.
Yeah, I'll take it easy. Wasn't expecting that.
Alright, go have some tea or something. We'll pack up what we need to and help you out if we can.
She'll nod and pull at her ever clean towel to start wiping sweat away while she goes and takes a seat.
Mm-hmm. You hear Lilith in your head, Callista muse for a second, kind of out loud, just like a long, And then she quickly follows up with a, I think that was the first brush with something dangerous using this artifact you carry. I think we need to be a little bit more wary of trying it in places where ancient things might be living or have lived, lest one such as that decide to break us all collectively.
Yeah, I agree. Hindsight 2020 and all that.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Valuable lesson learned. However, it also means that we could probably work a little on countermeasures. I think that would also be a good idea. That way we can't just be mind dominated by a creature whose ghost would be inclined to psychically invade your mind. Because in that scenario, we all lose.
Right. Something we can work together towards in free time.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure how we practice that, but
There are mental exercises to start with. And even with our friend Bellathor, we could probably even have a potion or two brewed up that will help us in scenarios such as that. An emergency situation in which your friends could just pop it in your mouth and it snap you free. In an ideal world. I'm not entirely sure of the specifics yet, but just ideas.
yeah, something to think about when we're back at camp.
That being said, who are you tuning to today? And why is that Callista?
It's Callista because we're still out on a mission technically and there could be a fight.
Yeah, I figured as much. In which case, you're going to want to take a little time to, take care of yourself and
redo her makeup.
Yep. All right. Anybody else? Prior things you wish to do?
Do the Shalsir have any supplies or weapons or anything like that we can take that they aren't going to use?
They do have a small armory is a strong word. They have a bunch of weapons lying around, essentially. In no particular order. They have 10 long swords, 10 spears, 10 shields, 10 sets of scale mail, 10 sets of daggers, 10 sets of short swords. Sorry, my brace is adjusted today. 10 hand axes, 10 battle axes. No heavy weapons to speak of, though, but
Right.
they are armed, along with a half dozen heavy crossbows, a half dozen light crossbows, and about 200 bolts.
Well, shoot. Roz would love a long sword and a heavy crossbow.
Yeah. They would basically offer for you to take anything that you want, since they're more or less abandoning the outpost for now.
You got it.
I mean, yeah, Titan needs some range. Get back a crossbow.
Yeah, one heavy crossbow. You can take. I mean, take as many bolts as reasonably as possible. But yeah, like I said, there's quite a bit of ammunition available. That also goes with like any odds and ends for like adventuring gear. There's ropes as well, climbing equipment, things of that nature. Basically anything you would expect for them to want or need in a remote outpost in the middle of a mountain range high up in the mountains, and it's probably here. So feel free to grab a couple of things.
I got what I wanted.
This is pretty packed up right now.
Okay. Also, just as a soft reminder, any ranged weapons that have the finesse tag added to them, which I did for, I believe, longbows and heavy crossbows, would allow strength users to use them with strength instead of dexterity, for those of you that would like a slightly more reliable ranged option.
Oh.
Yeah. It's way better than having javelins.
Mm-hmm.
Those were not working.
Mm-mm. Likewise, longbows had their damage die increased. Same for heavy crossbows. Like I said, they're in the table rules as to what the tags and changes are. In a similar vein, which I talked to Zhao about, I think last week, several different types of guns also have the finesse trait added to them, especially heavier things and close range things, to give strength users shorter range, but still viable ranged choice. Okay, if there's no other acquiring of goods or anything else that needs to be said to anybody, either in the party or amongst the NPCs, we can begin our trek back to camp. But first, once everyone's gathered, they've had a chance to eat, relax, stretch, put your equipment back on, and get ready for what is a mildly laborious trip back down the mountains to the location where your teleportation marker awaits you. The Shalsir here will take you up to the second floor, where they have a table that they've since cleared of weapons and ammo, and they've very neatly laid out their captain. They've dressed him down and have covered him up. And you can see that they've taken great pains. There's no signs of any of the cloth that has been used that's been stained. Off to the side, you can see the vaulter's armor set up on an armor stand just off to the side of the table near his head. On the other side is a couple of other small affectations. A dagger that's got broad, flat, blocky edges, clearly of dwarven make. A small medallion. Looks like it's made of gold and silver, with some sort of feather motif and two teal-colored gemstones set into it. The scales have all gathered around on the left and right sides of the table. Second scale Yai will just sort of gesture for you to find a place that's comfortable for you to stand. Orko very loudly drags a stool up to the table so he can stand up on it and be closer to eye level with everybody else. Everyone gives him a look, but then you can tell they all sort of like, half smirk or chuckle to themselves, as if they're remembering, they're reminiscing about a memory where he's done something similar. Yai walks around to the head of the table, where the head of their captain rests, and in their hand is a device. It appears to be a simple cut blue gemstone, a sapphire, and it has this somewhat articulate copper inset braced around it. And you can tell that they sort of hold it quite gingerly in the palm of both of their hands in front of them. They have a moment where they look between the other coppers present, make eye contact, and they just all take a moment where they bow their heads in a moment of silence. After about 30 seconds pass, Yai will look up, all the others eventually rising from their position of respect, and then look back down at the body of their captain, give a very sad smile, and then with this jewel in their hand, slowly reach out and put it in the center of their chest. And you'll watch as the sapphire will begin to glow dimly at first, and then slowly gather in energy. It'll begin to crackle, small arcs of lightning energy kind of dancing off of it and over onto the cloth, where you begin to watch as it slowly begins to disintegrate everything it touches. And to no one, to a ghost not here, second scale Yai watches as this arcing energy begins to turn the body of their first scale captain into ash. And they say, "Go with honor, friend. You can rest now." And the process takes about a minute. And after it's done, there's nothing remaining on the table except the affectations. There's a gentle breeze that slowly makes its way through the crack that the roost is built into, and with the hole in the second floor, it carries through, and in a small twisting, winding cyclone carries what remains of the ashes out of the outpost and into the air to vanish into the mist and clouds above. There's another long moment where they all sort of sit there in silence to themselves. You see Orko constantly rubbing at his face with the backs of his hands. You see his big companion, Tarvik, just pat him on the back a couple of times, maybe once or twice too hard. And then eventually Yai speaks up, reaching for the dagger and the medallion on the table. "All right, very well. Now that we have sent our captain on, we can go acquire the artifact and we can leave. Is everyone ready? Do you all have your belongings? Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Ready to go.
Let's get you out of here.
They'll take you down the ladder up from the second floor down to the first, and eventually get you all together sort of near the entrance, where the steps cling to the wall and descend down onto the bottom level. All right. You've certainly done your diligence in proving to us that you genuinely wish to see us out. Since we'll be going a short ways, and then departing, likely to never see each other again. To make sure you understand the gravity of what it is we are moving, and the importance should the worst happen, and we not be able to deliver it where it needs to be, you must understand the item in which you would come into possession. So follow me. And yeah, I take you down into the bottom level, which, for the most part, is very unremarkable. There is a lower section about the same size as the upper floor, shelves lined with wooden supply crates that are not as full as they once were, but are otherwise filled with several root vegetables, preserved meats, things of that nature, bags of rice. Another shelf lined with bottles of wine and casks of water, and a smaller alcove, which you can tell is an alchemy station where there are a couple remnants of where their potions were prior to being packed up, ready for this traversal. The difference between this floor and the above floor is that there is a solid metal wall that cuts it about a third too short, and an immense heavy metal door. On either side, there is a copper dragon head on either side, its eyes set in sapphires. The scales will all walk up. You'll see Yai step off to one side and Amir step off to the other, and they will pull from around their neck, respectively, a similar thing to what you saw them use on their captain to disintegrate his body, and that is a small sapphire stone with a somewhat ornate and complex copper contraption kind of worked around it. They'll both look at each other, nod, and then they will reach forward with it and place these items in the mouths of the dragons, the statues on the wall. And you will begin to listen to a very complicated series of moving metal pieces shift and grind and whine inside the wall until eventually it stops, and you will watch as the first door parts, and then behind that a second, and behind that a third. And then you can see an immediate blanket of crackling copper lightning on the inside. A glance from either angle will show that inside, affixed to the walls, are these what would normally appear to be lamps. But inside these lamps is not a flickering flame, but instead a crackling ball of lightning energy. And they ripple and bounce to one another, filling the room with lightning. Yai steps forward, and under the breath you can hear that there's some sort of word, phrase spoken. And it takes about 15 seconds, and then all of these spears turn off like a switch. On the far side of the room is a case made of stone and glass and metal. And on top of this case, where the glass pane reveals inside what it is hiding, is this extremely complex arcane circle. As a matter of fact, it is several arcane circles woven into one. Yeah, I will gesture for everybody to come in. That way your vision is not blocked, to provide the opportunity for clarity that they promised as to what this was. And inside the case is a sword. The sword itself is extremely beautiful. It has a smooth black hilt, somewhat simple pommel, gold, a couple of various rings kind of wrapped around the bottom. They would jingle as you would walk with the sword. The hilt, the crossguard, as it comes up from the hilt, is, you can tell, the head of a dragon with 4 sets of horns on the top of its head. Tiny little barbs kind of reaching out from that, and a white blade leaping up from there. It doesn't appear like it's made of metal, perhaps a type of stone or even bone. And its edges are gilded in gold. It is a beautiful weapon. This is what we've been protecting. This artifact was found by another group of people about 100 years ago, further south of here, in the Republic of Belwind. The sword itself is not what's special. It is what the sword contains that is. As you all know, there is a legacy of the Protectorate dragons living, existing, and protecting the lives of mortals since their creation, as was their purpose. This sword contains the soul of a gold Protectorate dragon that broke its creationary purposes. It went against its purpose, and for a period of time reigned over a section of land, taking from the people that live there all of their valuable metals: silver, copper, gold, iron, and cobalt, for the sake of making sure that it had the control absolute over all of the resources for its brothers to mend themselves with. This dragon's name was Gildarian the Greedy, as they were later known to become. I don't think I need to go into great detail. I can let your imaginations take it from here as to imagine what would happen should such an item end up in the hands of an enemy that would wield it with malice. Have you all been sufficiently informed?
Yes. Yes. Don't let the sword containing a dragon's soul fall into enemy hands. Makes sense to me.
Lilith is just kind of standing in the back, quietly staring at the sword. A little bit of fear. She's pretty sure she knows where that voice came from.
Mm-hmm. You can't 100% confirm it, but that clenching around your heart definitely tells you as such. All right, good. We are going to transfer it to its case to be transported. And when that is done, we'll leave. It is advised that those of you that don't carry the Shalsir's blessing not be in the room when we do so. Gildarian is fully conscious and fully aware and capable of speaking to you, and is not always super gentle with those they reach out to.
Understood.
Well, we'll wait upstairs.
Dare I assume everybody goes upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Titan has no desire to be possessed by a golden dragon.
Not up to my standards. Okay. Yeah. You'll all be escorted back upstairs by Tarvik. And it takes about 10 minutes. And eventually the rest of the Shalsir come up from the basement. And you see attached to Amir's various kit and backpack a solid black metal case with a bunch of runic copper engravings. If someone didn't know what they were looking for, they would just know that's a neat box. All right. Well, you're the ones that know where you're going. Lead the way. And I'm trying to decide if I want to send you back to camp with absolutely zero chance of something going wrong.
So we're not gonna roll, right?
Well, so instead of everybody rolling like I normally do, I guess we'll just pick one victim.
Sam.
Oh, no. These roll so high.
That's good, right?
It's high, but it's not that high. It's 13.
Oh, that's not high.
Good.
That's high for combat. That's not high for encounters.
Exactly.
Well, the day progresses, time passes, things are a little slower going. If nothing else, because not all of you are as nimble or capable of traversing some of the rocky cliff faces or uneven terrain as others. But eventually, with a little bit of time and effort and help from all of those involved, you arrive back at your waypoint. On even before time was finished, impressively.
All right. Well, suppose I'll do the honors then. Grab the ticket,
Mm-hmm.
scroll, whatever it is, and
Talisman?
whatever it is,
Magic paper.
and
Yeah.
open our portal home.
Okay. Yeah, you take the talisman, you rip it, and with the same tearing sound of the paper, a portal opens up in the same sort of time frame as it goes. And you see on the other side a slightly blurry but familiar facade of your camp. You will each step your way through one after the other. As per normal, I won't ask for them, but just a soft reminder for any of you that are going to keep this ongoing until such a time it changes. Yeah, you can roll a con save if you want to see how your character handles teleportation of this type again. Otherwise, you will all arrive at the dais.
I mean, Titan is consistent in his teleportation sickness. He got a 7.
Lilith managed to fail even with the bonuses from the last teleport.
Hilarious.
I was gonna say, and for her first time, Audie actually feels a little ill from this. It might have been because they almost died the day before. It might be because she's really thinking about, oh my goodness, there's a dragon and a sword.
Hmm?
But she wasn't ready.
That happens.
Are we getting lightning flashes on the main screen?
You are. I don't know how that turns itself on, but I'm also trying to figure out how to turn it off.
I think it probably has to do with the weather module, since it's apparently thunderstorming with spitting rain.
It is, yeah. Yeah, you guys essentially went from a location in which you were pretty comfortable in, being that it was very safe and reminiscent of Greenwood and what you were familiar with, and now arriving back to a torrential rainstorm with loud claps of thunder and crackling heat lightning in the sky. You are welcomed by a handful of camp attendants, some from the Orphans Refuge, some from White Cross, to see if there are any wounded amongst yourselves. But then, as is normal, if there are no emergencies, everybody sort of disperses and you are allowed to go back about your business.
Oh, we should probably go tell Covert everything that happened, right?
Did they have fireball controllers? Yeah.
And the good news, mission accomplished.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is we're all standing upright. It's a good idea.
Well, we'll just hand a couple bits over to one of the children who comes up with mint.
Yeah, no, there are kids here with the anti-sick remedies. They are prepared for this.
Oh, I think we're just in time.
Titan's a silver mine of anti-sick medicine.
I think we're just in time for the noon meeting, actually. Unless the clock hasn't changed.
No, the clock has changed. It is in fact noon.
All right. Well, Audie, let's go see your boy toy.
And you see her kind of open her mouth like she wants to argue, but you're not sure if she doesn't have the energy to argue or she can't think of the right thing to say, as she still looks a little pale. Just all right, but you're giving the update in a meeting.
Fine. I feel great. I just needed a good walk. That brisk air. Although I will say the air here is heavy.
It's a lot of rain, but it's also uncomfortably warm.
Whatever. All right. Let's go to that meeting, huh?
Yai's going to stop you before you all trudge away. Is that where the leader of the camp is located?
Yep.
Well, then I suppose we'll attend so we can speak to them.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're going to have a lot of questions about everything you've been going through.
Well, lead the way then. And yeah, you'll go to the meeting. When you arrive there, unsurprisingly, mercenaries are gathered. Granted, far fewer due to the weather. There is a what looks to be a 20-foot radius invisible forest barrier that's been deployed to try to provide some shelter, of which people are much more tightly gathered underneath than normal, closer to Covert's desk. And you can tell it's Covert's kind of partially shouting over the rain and the thunder, even using magic to sharpen his voice a bit more than he normally does. So we're expecting another group of refugees to be coming in. About 100 or so more discovered by our very own League of Shadows in their most recent reconnaissance mission. We've also linked up with a group of survivors from that side of the continent. They've currently built up a village, a blockade, to prevent any movement from east to west. We're currently still communicating with their leadership, but it seems as if they'll be in need of help soon. So for anyone interested in really taking it to the forefront, now is your opportunity. So get ready and wait for those mission postings. Do we have any other reports worth mentioning now?
Roz is going to speak up, and she's going to use thaumaturgy to make sure that she's easy to hear.
Mhm.
We're back with the Shalsir. And we got a lot of reports to tell you about new automatons and what the controllers might be able to do.
All right, would you rather something impromptu, or do you want to sit down and gather your thoughts first?
No, I can handle it. So we encountered a new type of automaton. We're not sure what to call it yet, but we're just going to call it a bolter for now. It's extremely fast, climbs high, very stealthy, sturdily built, and the only upside to fighting them seems to be that they don't come out in large numbers in one area, but they can drill a hole through solid rock and shoot you through it. They are large enough that the gnomes use them as mounts, and the controller that we just fought and killed, after he died, burst into flames, became some sort of an elemental, and kept fighting. Sorry, we don't have any evidence of that, but it happened.
All right then. We'll definitely have to do a debriefing on that, and I can write up a report to pass around to everyone else. For those of you that listened, I mean, feel free to do your own independent study, of course. Any additional news on anything similar to this, feel free to pass along. There's always bonuses involved, so don't be too tight-lipped about it. If there's no other business, you all can go get out of the rain. I think the Daisy's serving hot cider right now, so I might send you down in that direction. And people start dispersing. Covert tends to a couple of mercs. But once they're done, he immediately goes to sees the opportunity to speak of all you. He beckons you to under the dome, close to his desk, which, with considerably smaller numbers, is sufficient enough to keep you out of the rain when the wind is polite. Welcome back, everybody, and new friends. I'm sure you have a lot to talk about. Do you want to do it out of the rain?
That'd be nice.
Preferably.
We have to.
Sure. Gray room it is. And Covert steps off to one side and, as many times before, just sort of gestures with a long arm to a space beside him with no tangible, change in the scenery. But as you all know, once you take that first step through, it's a long step, and you end up kind of moving over an access point where you end up in what he refers to as the Grey Room. A simple gray room conjured via magic with a table and chairs. After a little bit of coaxing, the Shalsir are likewise brought in. And You watch as Covert goes through a process of realizing he's brought in way more people than he normally does in any one instance, and goes through a somewhat funny process of him grabbing the edges of the table and then like pushing his hands out, and it doesn't look like it does anything, but then when you suddenly look at it from a slightly different perspective, the table is now stretched to accommodate 12 people. All right, everybody have a seat. I'll prepare some drinks and snacks. I wouldn't be a very good host if I didn't tend to those who've just come back from a difficult journey. So, tell me about it. What's the important information?
You know what? I'll let someone who's not going to dramatize it speak.
Is anybody not going to dramatize it? I mean, if you have to just give it to me dramatized, I'll take that as well. Any information is better.
And as you can see, we have the Shalsir.
I do see that. Good job.
First skill didn't make it out, but he was already gone before we got there.
Hmm.
You heard what Roz said about the controller. I wasn't up near and close to it. She was practically sitting on it when it happened.
Yeah, worrying news to say the least. And a new unit as well,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. 2 new unit types in such a short period of time. Can't say that's good.
No, it's not.
And that part wasn't dramatized. It looked like a cannon on the back of a cat. Punch a hole right to the rock. Probably to punch a hole right to a person, too.
Oh, I can confirm that. I got harpooned through the damn chest and dragged halfway across the battlefield and hanged by my shoulder from 100 feet up a tree. Bastards.
That does sound dramatic.
And that's not even me dramatizing it. That's just what happened.
No, I believe it. Second skill, yeah, who's just been sitting there politely partaking of the small, like, dried fruits and cookies that are on the table. I will likewise support the statements of those here. They coincide with the experiences we had during the time we were sieged. I can likewise show wounds that the creatures, the sniper units left on us as well. Likewise, to be able to talk a little bit about their firing weaponry and how it functions. I had a very interesting experience attempting to catch one of the projectiles. Okay, this is all useful information. I suppose allow me to get my official job out of the way. As liaison of the adjutants and responsible for all the various mercenaries and contracts doled out here at the camp. To you, Greenies, good job. Here is your payment. And reaches into his cloak and pulls out a small wooden box that you can hear jingling with silver. And we'll put it on the table. I've likewise provided a bonus for safely escorting the Shalsir back, and an additional bonus for the discovery of and bringing back intelligence for a new gnomish war machine, along with a little bit extra for the similar discovery about the controller bursting into flames and becoming an elemental, which is sufficiently terrifying news. Don't spend it all in one place. Or do. I'm not your parent.
Just grab the box, open her up. How much is inside?
It is 10,000 silver pieces.
Okay, gonna go ahead and distribute that.
It's a 2K each. There's 5 of us, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna go add that to Corona sheet. Zhao doesn't have to worry about it.
It's my
I have more
encumbrance.
than 12 silver now.
I also had 12 silver before this.
I mean, in defense of this, we did literally spend an entire session at an incredibly magical merchant circus, where the idea was to spend all of your money. So this was all kind of intended.
My encumbrance shoots up.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately,
Oh, yeah,
no
mine
banks
did
here.
too. Yeah.
Audie would turn to Yai and to the whole group of Shalsir and just be like, "You've had us and everything. But do you want any part of this?"
Well, there is some Shalsir business we need to speak to the leader with here. And we also don't really have any place to go immediately. So we'll be sticking it out here for a time being. Unless you would prefer for us to depart so you can have privacy.
No, I meant if you wanted any compensation. You took care of us, you just left your roost behind.
Hmm?
Should you a couple hundred silver at all?
Well, we don't need any of that.
Trust me, kid. Bribing the Shalsir never goes well.
And she gives the most dramatic, wide-eyed look. What makes you think I've done anything to need bribing for?
And Titan just looks at you. Because I know you, Audie.
In response to that, in a similarly dramatic fashion, Orko scrambles over the table to get eye to you, Audie, like an inch away from your face, and he just screeches at you, "Did you do it?"
And she just looks him back. All right, I'll confess it was me. I'm the one that took the last 2 candies. And you can't get them back near my stomach.
Throw the book at her. Lifetime sentence in prison. Hard labor. Unforgivable. Thought you people were good, upright, standing citizens. 2 legs.
Whoa. Okay. Peace,
Ca-
peace.
Candy thieves.
Peace. There might be more candy nearby.
Nope.
Get you some.
Damage is done. This can't be fixed. You thought the war was bad. This is even worse.
What about cake? You like cake?
He was like standing up on the table, turning to go back to his seat, and then he stops and looks over his shoulder. Go on.
The Immortal Bastion makes a really delicious lemon cake. You could have some.
Are you bribing an officer of the law right now?
No. Why? You want to take the bribe?
He looks back over his shoulder towards the eye. Looks back over at you. And then puts a hand to his mouth. We'll talk later. You can see both Amir and Tarvik are kind of snickering to themselves, but Yai's just got a hand on their face. Just like, another day of this, huh? So, as we were saying, we appreciate the extension, but we don't require any of the money you've made from your services rescuing us. The deed unto itself was more than sufficient. If anything, I suspect there will likewise be compensation coming from the Shalsir as well at some point in your future, when we are taken by our people in a few days' time. Okay, so does anybody want to do the boring report part of this with me? You just have to dictate things. I can do all the writing.
Who wants to sit with Covert for hours doing boring paperwork?
There needs to be somebody with very good memory and recall of the events that happened, as much detail as physically possible. But again, the new discovery is super important.
Suddenly, I'm drawing a blank on everything that I saw.
As much as I actually would love to help, I really wasn't near any of it.
I'll stay. Shouldn't take that long.
No, it shouldn't. Probably the better part of a half hour, maybe 40 minutes, depending upon how much we get to dig into. All right. Anything else of relevance that you feel should be spoken to me now that can't be delivered by Lilith during the report?
No, I think the majority was already said.
All right. In which case, Greenies, good work. You're free to go about your day. Enjoy your earnings. Door out is right over there. And gestures to a previously empty space on the wall where there is now a door.
All right, thanks, kid. Covert.
Mm-hmm.
See ya.
Yeah, that was weirdly awkward for no reason. Okay, yeah, bye. And yeah, those of you that wish to leave can leave. Those of you that will stay to give a report can stay. There's a brief exchange as most of you are kind of milling your way out between EI and Covert about what they should do while they're here, given the sensitive nature of the package they're carrying. To which Covert tells them to go to the Seductress. They can offer them the safest place to stay for the time being until the Shalsir can arrive to escort them to a new location with their artifact. Which is kind of a weird thing to hear, but then perhaps also provides a little additional light as to something going on behind the various dark, heavy curtains in the Seductress.
Titan just thinks the idea of coppers stuck in this brothel is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're at break time, to which I will prompt all of you. You're back at camp. Time is technically yours right now. It is 12:30 for the sake of just keeping time slightly moving. So you have the rest of your day to do with as you will. Think about what you're going to do. If you're going to go talk to somebody, if you're going to go buy something, if you're something. And we'll be back in 10 minutes to see what all people have managed to conjure up out of their imagination. Be back soon. And we're back. 10 minutes always goes by a lot faster when there's a timer attached to it, I find. Anyway, the group has returned from their mission successfully with the Shalsir. They've received their payment and a large bonus. They have since been dismissed by Covert to go about their various activities back in the Hunter's camp. Did anybody over the break dream up anything interesting to go do? An acceptable answer can be no, and you can go do crafting or social work or money making if you like as well.
I was going to say, were we going to be selling any of the cores? Because that was a Gildan Rose thing, right?
Correct.
If you want a little bit more cash, you certainly can.
I just wasn't sure if it was something we were holding on to for crafting, or if the intention was we were harvesting them to sell them.
Yeah, I did explain Titan was able to, when you guys originally were told to harvest them, that he found out that they could be broken down into arcane essences of varying
right.
degrees. So they could be used for crafting, like directly.
I mean, considering the grades that we got, they aren't worth that much. It might be better just to turn them into essences.
I agree.
Then we keep them. Let's see.
Okay.
As for interesting stuff to do, define interesting.
Anything of personal interest?
Anything that's not boring, like crafting or shopping.
Basically, because those I will hand wave and have you roll dice.
Great. I do have some of that to do, but also Roz needs to go talk to the Bastion, Lucilla this time.
Mm-hmm.
Though she's going to wait till the evening to do that.
Okay.
She missed her chance to dance with Lucilla at the circus, so she wants to get her chance now.
Fair enough.
Well, Lilith is getting into the details of the mission with Covert for like 30 minutes, trying to sketch up what the automaton looked like, including the elemental that the gnome turned into.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, she's going to go find Roz.
Sure. I'm sure you can find Roz amongst the various shopping she's doing.
Armor off. It is too hot.
Mm-hmm. Reasonable.
Lilith's got like her cloak up over her head, 'cause rain spots her. Roz,
Hey, there you are. I was wondering where you. Come on over.
hey, you got a minute?
All the time in the world for you. What's up? What you need?
I wanted to ask you. You mentioned something that happened on the mission, and I just wanted some clarification.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went down, you said that the controller tried to finish me off.
Yeah.
What stopped them?
Me. I stopped him. He was going to cut your throat, so I stuck my hand in the way, got cut across the palm, and literally threw you toward Titan. And I got stabbed again, and then shot. And then you were up.
Thank you.
I wasn't going to let him kill you. I was angry enough that I let him hurt you.
Nothing you could have done about that.
There wasn't a lot I could do in that fight, but part of that is likely my own recklessness. Regardless, you're alive, and that's what matters. Don't think too hard about it, okay?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna think about it. I think about everything.
Well, you think too much. Yeah.
Maybe.
You're going to give yourself anxiety.
A bit past that.
You're telling me that you already have anxiety?
Probably.
Well, you got to get rid of that. Just stop thinking.
I don't think I can do that. But thank you.
I guess you're welcome, though. To be honest with you, It's as much selfish reason as anything else to keep you alive. I don't know if you notice, but I kind of like you. I like you a lot more with your head still attached.
I certainly hope so. But still, regardless of you trying to downplay it, you saved my life.
I guess. Sure.
Feel like a hero?
I suppose.
Good enough. She's gonna use an action and turn her cloak from blue to like a bright blood red. Take it off and just wrap it around Roz's shoulders.
Mm.
Okay. You want me to not get wet in the storm? What's this?
The cloak that I made for you that you then went and enchanted.
You said you made this cloak for yourself.
Yeah, it's called a lie. I know how much you wanted a cloak, so I made a cloak and put a little rune on it that lets it change color.
Buzz looks frustrated because she has had this wool put over her eyes for days. Eventually, she gives up, smiles, picks Lilith up, kisses her, then points a finger at her face and says, "You lie to me again, I'm gonna know this time."
Oh, probably. The only reason you didn't notice that time is probably because you weren't paying attention.
I love you, Lilith Ilana, but I'm gonna kick your ass.
You couldn't catch me.
I've already caught you! What you gonna do?
Just gonna kiss her.
And Roz drops her. Not like hard, just like sets her down.
Then quickly take a few steps back, stick her tongue out, and run away.
Great. Chase ensues across the camp.
Lilith isn't holding back, she's double dashing every road.
Well, that's that.
Mm-hmm. So, anybody else?
Audie was going to look for Roz because she was only slightly kidding when she said, when we get back to camp, we should absolutely go for baths together and just rest and not feel like we've got the crap kicked out of us.
Mm-hmm.
But that really depends on whether or not through this Benny Hill montage of chasing Lilith around the camp, she runs into her.
Yeah, you know what? Not only does Roz run into Audie, but she barrels into her and knocks her over.
Go somewhere, mate.
I was chasing Lilith, but she's really fast and hard to catch.
I caught her once.
All right, well, she's faster than me, and I'm not smart enough to catch her.
What? I was only partially joking. I was about to head over to Stocktress for bat. Care to join me?
Yeah, all right. My hair's probably still half red from yesterday. I'd love to.
Good. As long as you're sure that girlfriend won't mind. We could always get her too if she ever stops running or try and find her.
She's probably a long way away.
I'm gonna have y'all to myself then for now. And she'll link arms with Roz and pivot them toward the seductress.
Mm-hmm. Any special considerations at the seductress? A couples package, companionship, anything worth of note?
feel like this is Audie's choice.
Audie really was just thinking of grabbing baths together.
Mhm.
Although the idea of getting massages, because this had actually probably been our hardest fight to date, doesn't sound like an awful idea considering the payday that landed in our lap as well.
That's fair. Well, do you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Especially now since I've begun work, I've certainly still not finished that menu. So I think arbitrarily, bath plus massage is gonna be 50 silver each.
Right. I was gonna say, and if Roz was arguing against it, Audie would pay for both, but
No, Roz loves extravagance.
she figured as much.
Okay. Yeah, the bath and massage will take the better part of about 2 hours. And at the end of it, you all for the next 24 hours, both of you will can add a D4 to any physical ability check or saving throw you make. So anything that uses strength, dex, or con.
Just taking that note, sorry.
Mm-hmm. And one of these days, I will parse through your notes and compile all of the various prices I've given you into one completed list item.
Well, one day, I was gonna say, and the baths are because we're mercenaries, but massage I will note as 50 silver. Because one day this will matter.
Perhaps. Okay. We've got people bathing, massages, kissing in the rain. Anything else people would like to add? Things to do?
I mean, I had legitimately planned for Titan to grab Lotus and go for baths and massages.
Well, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
I thought that was a fun coincidence.
We all understand that we absolutely got the tar beat out of us.
We got the tar beat out of us, and I mean, not necessarily secretly done. Titan's been adding some muscle mass, and you gotta get that loosened up.
It's true.
But I assume so. How much is a bath so that I can adjust the price because Lotus doesn't get free baths?
A bath. Katie, can you reference that real quick, or am I making up yet another number for the fourth time?
Making up a number because the one time she gave it to her mom, it was in exchange for her own.
Right.
So I don't think I have that one.
Okay.
The only one I have is for companionship, which I think was 75 silver.
Yeah. I will say a full service bath is 15.
15? Okay.
Yeah.
So Titan spends 115 on this.
You're all finally getting a taste of having considerable wealth all the time that you're so happy to spend 100 silver on a massage. It's crazy. I've got them hooked.
I wouldn't necessarily say I'm happy to have it. The Titan just got a big influx of cash, and he's like, yeah, me and the wife need to have some fun. Maybe we'll ride bikes later.
I mean, it's extremely likely, I imagine.
Sorry, what was the effect of the massage?
You get to add 1d4 to any physical-based check or saving throw for the next 24 hours. So anything that requires a strength con or dexterity check saving throw.
Okay. I don't think it'll come up, but noted. But after bath and massage, Titan is just going to get to work on his projects, unless anything from Greenwood is especially pressing that needs his attention.
No, I mean, Lotus would catch you up on the small handful of events that have transpired while you all have been gone. Which is to say, nothing of particular note. They were approached by Covert to help prepare and ready a handful of people that were being brought over, several new refugees that were going to be brought over, which you guys kind of got a tail end of at the mercenary meeting, to help organize them a bit. And in particular for Lotus and a couple of the other council members of Greenwood to take a little bit more responsibility to help care for the children that will likewise be coming. Of which similarly, Covert mentioned that he would go do his part in speaking to help make sure that some requested upgrades can be made for the broader part of the camp. Since the numbers continue to grow. Speaking back towards some temporary shelters and things of that nature.
Sounds good and reasonable.
Yeah, that was like the only other big highlight. Lotus did mention that Viren has since left on a mission shortly before you guys did, and then since returned during your time away.
Also good to hear.
He's spending time with his kids. But she makes note of the fact that Viren's physical appearance is changing. Not super dramatic. He's not growing horns, but his skin tone has paled quite considerably, and his eye color has changed.
Well, that's something to definitely look into.
Mm-hmm.
Physical changes like that could be a medical problem, but if it's not, then he won't be too problematic for Viren, but he just wants to make sure everybody's good and healthy. It's his job. I will make a note that Titan wants to speak with Viren.
All right. Well, we can assume the flow of time for the remainder of the day will continue. Lilith, you're the only one not currently occupied by a bath or a massage. Is there anything you're doing in that gap of time where everyone else is occupied?
She's gonna go over to the Dusty Daisy and just use her free meal for the day.
Okay.
Find someplace to relax a bit. She's been told to take it easy.
Yeah, and all the offerings are extremely comforting and warm today. Most of the free drinks that are normally provided have all been replaced by either hot teas or warm mulled ciders, both alcoholic and non. There's likewise like a seafood chowder, fresh bread. There's even an occasional meal that you see that's brought out on fire and then is blown out for consumption. And it's pretty lively. The Daisy's well canopied and well tarped, so the rain is being kept at bay. So a lot of people are there currently just sort of enjoying the atmosphere when the rain would otherwise kind of damper anything else that could be done at the camp.
Yeah, she'll just enjoy some time there. If she sees somebody that she knows, she'll talk to them, but Otherwise, just relaxing. You good?
I'm sighing a little. Ever have a fizzy drink go down the wrong pipe?
Yeah. Obligatory. You're supposed to drink it, not inhale it.
Yep.
The bubbles can create air.
All right, now that I'm crying, anybody have any plans for the evening? I know Roz did. Well, we'll start with Roz then.
Very well. Roz goes to the Bastion camp to find Lucilla.
Yeah, the Bastion camp, unsurprising at this time of night, is not particularly active, especially due to the rain. But that same familiar large camp in the back, or tent in the back, has its the two front flaps pinned up. Inside, sitting around a large long table, several members of the Immortal Bastion, finishing up what looks like the tail end of a meal. And you can tell they're currently just sitting there enjoying each other's company. They seem to be taking it easy. You are welcomed with a similar warm but energetic welcome when you arrive. Slaps on the back. Good jobs for returning on your mission. Inquiries as to how it went and tales to tell if you have them.
Oh, and Roz just loves telling tales about herself. She does a great job of it. She blows everything out of proportion. Half of the things that she says are not true, but they're close enough to true.
Yeah, you have a drink shoved into your hand, and a bunch of people gather around and listen to the dramatized tale of your mission.
And halfway through talking about her mission, Roz is gonna take a nice victory sip of that drink, and she's just gonna make a face. Like, she doesn't like it. She puts it down. A thing she has never done before. And she's actively going to whisper the word yucky. Right, anyway, did you feel when I almost died out there?
Sudden silence. Couple of throat clears. And then you just see Lucius just sort of, again, he's been there, enjoying himself, smiling and nodding to conversation and comments and stories told and drinking quietly. But then he'll just, well, yeah, of course we did.
Well, don't be so dour. I'm fine.
Well, if it made you feel any better, we would have come and gotten you, should you not have come back.
I appreciate it, but if I die, I die. I'm not afraid of it.
Not exactly how that works anymore, Roz.
I guess not.
I mean, unless you explicitly tell us to not bring you back, should you perish.
And what would it entail exactly? I know that we've already got one lost that we need to go recover anyway, so
Mm-hmm.
what happens when we go get timber and bring them back?
Well, it's sort of hard to explain unless you experience it yourself. But the best way to put it is, we go through a ritual. Lucilla is at the focal point. The body is an anchor for the soul. And she reels it back in from wherever it might be. And occasionally there's a little resistance. And sometimes we have to push it in our direction. But as Lucilla likes to say, and she's sitting next to her brother, similarly, smiling, drinking. She just likes to say it's just her giving somebody a hug who's just waking up from a nap, is how she describes it. She's kind of peering down into her cup, like she's got her mug cupped with both hands, and she's sort of looking down into it, sort of like bashfully.
I see. There's a moment of Roz looking really skeptical, but she doesn't say anything about it. Well, at any rate, I didn't come here just to tell tales about my adventure. I also came because I missed an opportunity to do something while we were at the circus. And I feel bad about it, and I was hoping that I could make it up to you, Lucilla.
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay, what?
Well, I spotted you dancing at the circus, and instead of jumping in and dancing with you, I decided to go try to work. And I think maybe that was the wrong thing to do. So I'd like to make it up to you. What do you say? Would you care for a dance?
You can see when you initially broached the subject, she brightened up considerably. Again, she's not like sad or sulking or anything, but just like the weather seems to have kind of like dampened her a little by comparison to how she would be much more considerably bright and shiny on a bright and sunny day. And she seems quite excited by the initial proposition, and then you could tell there's just a quick little dip. Make an insight check.
Got it. It's good, actually. 17.
Oh, that is good. You think, in much in the way Lucilla would, she's obviously very excited to have an opportunity to just dance with you. Because it's fun and she enjoys dancing. But you also think she caught your look of skepticism earlier, and it seems as if she's got something crawling around in her head that makes her think you don't trust her. And so she seems a little uncertain now.
Roz is going to get up, cross to Lucilla, offer down her hand. Nothing that you have ever done has been anything for me but kind, loving, and for my benefit. I owe you my life, and I will never forget it. I trust you with it. Would you please dance with me?
Persuasion check.
You got it. The number on the d20 is not high, so I'm going to spend a exploit die for commanding presence.
Oh, that's where we're starting.
That's much better. It becomes another 17.
You can see there's a moment where she hesitates. But then Lucius kind of pushes her up from her chair with his hand. And somewhere on the other side, Pomaris is already setting up the bard in a box and picking out a card to play. And no, slightly too whimsical. Hang on. Really no solid dancing music. Well, you get slightly jaunty.
That's fine. Slightly jaunty for dancing in the rain.
Ah, there we go. That's a little better. Yeah, you could tell Lucilla there's a tiny bit of conflict. But she is extremely into the idea of dancing. And once the music starts, you can see that she loosens up pretty considerably to the idea. And the other members of the Bastion kind of take their seats respectfully and just kind of let you two have the dance. Why don't you, just for funsies, roll a performance check?
You got it.
How light on Roz's feet is she right now?
You know, for whatever reason, I am deciding that this is worth an inspiration.
Yeah, might as well.
18. 18 for dancing.
Pretty good. Yeah. You and Lucilla dance. And again, you can kind of initially feel it at first. Again, she's into it and she likes it, but there's still always like that kind of little edge, but it's progressively smoothed out the more you spend time dancing. And she enjoys herself and you enjoy yourself, and it's a good time. And the other members of the Bastion, clap and stamp their feet, and again, they laugh and cheer occasionally and drink and just enjoy themselves.
Well, it's just a good night. And whatever skepticism Roz had when she's got Lucilla alone for a second. It's L names.
Mm-hmm.
She's got Lucilla alone for a second. I just wanted to ask and clear the air for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I got skeptical is because I remember a time not so long ago that I woke up covered in bandages, not sure what happened because I'd just been hit with a great sword multiple times by Tatiana the Tyrant. For just a brief second, I wasn't sure if I had died or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all it was. That's what the feeling was. That's I know you felt from me.
I see. Well, in defense of that and my reaction, where I come from is a place and people who wholly doubted my entire existence and everything I had to say, and subsequently caused the complete downfall of my people and culture. So I kind of have a thing about people doubting me when all I am trying to do is help people.
I trust you completely, Lucilla. There's a reason I swore an oath to you, to the Bastion, to your beliefs. You told me to follow you anywhere, anywhere in the world, to any plane, no matter how dangerous. I'd be leading the charge. I'd be fighting your brother to lead the charge for you.
Well, I can't really advise the one thing, but everything else about that sounds good.
I'll get to him one day. Just you wait.
I mean, no offense, Roz, I really like you, but if I have to bet on either you or my brother, I'm going to bet on my brother.
All right. Well, for now, that's a smart bet. Give me a year.
A year. One year.
1 year, and then your brother and I have a friendly little duel, and we'll see what happens. And if he beats me then, well, I'll come to you sniveling and crying and begging you to bandage up my bruises.
All right. Do you want to put your stakes down now?
Do you have something in mind?
Well, I didn't originally. Still kind of thinking about the idea about what I could take from you so easily when you make such a fool's decision.
Oh, really? All right. Well, you know what? You think on it, and whatever it is that you think you're going to take from me, we'll make that bet.
Deal. Just make sure you actually bring something else to the table. It would feel unfair if you didn't also want something from this.
Roz is going to give Lucilla a quick dip in the dance.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of something. Give her a wink. Yank her back up.
She blushes very deeply.
That's the majority of the night.
Okay. Anybody else?
I mean, Audie always has stuff to do, let's be honest. So unless somebody else is chomping at the bit, I can go. Audie would, after the bath, head back to camp.
Mm-hmm.
Probably stopping by the Daisy, picking up dinner,
Of course.
going to see her family, and
Mm-hmm.
really excited to see them and to catch up and hear what's been going on since she's been gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Similarly, again, your mother will tell similar tales that Lotus told the Titan. She won't give you the details about Viren, but she'll tell you about the influx of refugees that the camp is expecting, the asks that Covert have made of several of the people of Greenwood. Likewise, will tell you that that Baden is doing much better.
No,
sorry.
not Baden.
Nope. Yep.
Aladade.
Aladade. Thank you.
I was going to say, when did Baden get here?
Joke's on you.
What happened to him?
That Aladade is doing much better. The healers say that probably in less than a week he'll be able to return to normal activity.
It's really good news then. And if Titan can figure out a way to get him an arm, it's really interesting seeing the way some of the mechanical creatures work. I'm sure I'll figure something. Either way, it seems like Greenwood can't help but lend a hand where things are needed. Sounds like you and Lotus are going to have your arms full again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Covert said that we're expecting close to 24 kids. Some without parents.
Sure, we'll find a way to set up an orphanage or a schoolhouse if need to.
Well, I assume we'll soon be getting some semi-permanent dwellings built. I don't think at this point that we can continue surviving in the current places we're in. I think they were hoping that by not building permanent structures, it would affect something somewhere in the universe that would tell them that the war would end sooner rather than later, and they wouldn't need something like that.
I didn't think they expected us to be here for the rainy season. But it's certainly upon us.
You can say that again. Sort of peering out from the family's tent just at the torrential downpour. The small gullies that are that the tents create, because they're all put up on raised mounds, so you just kind of watch as all these gullies are just filled with streaming water that run out of the camp towards the river.
I don't think things are as hopeless as they seem. But I have to, you know?
Well, I'm not trying to spread it to the other kids, but Covert said there's a chance that there might be other people from Greenwood with the refugees that we'll be getting soon.
That would be good news indeed.
Hmm?
Be good to know that not all of them got packed up into camps.
Well, if you'd believe it, it sounds like the leader of the group is our very own Rorkin.
Really?
Yeah, survived the attack on Greenwood and everything.
Just some good news. Didn't think we'd be seeing him quite so fast again. Don't really mind though.
Melody, make an insight check.
Sure. And yeah, I was gonna say Rorkin was the Shalsir.
Yeah, one of the pair. It was Rorkin and Bryn Rasa.
Insight check. Let's use a piece of inspiration for that, I think. Yeah. I don't think 6 insight feels very good right now.
It's not super good, no.
That's 12, though. Oh my goodness. 12 insight. All right.
Much in the way that adults do, your mother is concealing something out of worry or some sort of concern. Probably something that she's just kept to herself and has not told to anybody else.
And Audie does like a quick look around to see if, any of the younger ones, either the twins or Zine, are within earshot. She's less worried about Tiff, but
there are a couple of your siblings around. Some of them are sort of taken to just, being at home because of the weather.
Mm-hmm. Well, then Audie is going to focus really hard on her voice and on effectively the message cantrip, and bring things down to hushed tones, as it were. Something else on your mind, Mom?
There's a moment where she also considers the whisper that is somewhere in between your speaking and in her head, before she just kind of smoothly responds. There's always something to worry about, Melody. I guess I'm just concerned that if these people come back and Rorkin was at Greenwood, that when they arrive, that news one way or the other is going to be brought back about your da. And I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Want me to get to news first? I'd rather know one way or the other.
I think it would be too cruel to ask that of you, Melody.
Yeah, but I love him. I mean, he's my dad. But we don't, none of the kids love him like you do. It's not the same. I'm here to help whatever you need, Ma.
I know you are. And I appreciate that you're offering, and to see how much you've grown, and to know that I could ask this of you. But I think for right now, I still just need to let you be my child and not my confidant.
Right, and I can understand that.
Hmm.
Lilith picked up the Decasian while we were gone once. She might even be able to make a reading, but it's probably a bit on the other side, a bit more whimsical than you'd like.
I think right now, no news is good news. I think I can wait for a time.
Right. I agree with that. After everybody's tucked in here, I'm planning to go for, might be going to the Daisy a bit later, get another cider. It's been kind of cold in the rain. I mean, it's muggy and hot and humid, but then it really gets into you.
Well, you should go enjoy yourself.
Hey, are you taking the opportunity to enjoy yourself too?
When opportunities arise, I do.
All right. Well,
You
So,
can you can trust Lotus is keeping an eye on me as much as we keep an eye on the children.
all right. Well, just so you know, I did get paid recently, so if you want another one of those baths, like before, I'm glad to give you one.
I'll consider it.
And she'll wrap her mom in like the tightest hug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she doesn't hesitate to hug you back.
Mm-hmm. Be often. I'll try not to wake anybody up when I come back. It's a little different when I'm not sneaking up the stairs from across the tavern. You actually have to climb over people here.
Hmm. But at least there's no creaky floorboards for you to have to worry about.
That's correct. I'm pretty sure that you and Dad changed up where the creaky ones were just to trip me out some days. They were never the same.
She looks like she's gonna say something, but then just sort of like says nothing and smiles instead.
And yeah, like I said, I have a couple other things I can do, but I'll concede the time for someone else if they go on.
Well, I suppose does anybody have anything else for this day?
Mine are quick for tonight.
Shoot.
Titan's just going to read
Mhm.
for about 3 hours and then spend the rest of the evening with Lotus.
That's fair. Good evening.
Uh,
Mark your hours.
yeah. Okay. And that's it for him for tonight. He has lots to do tomorrow, but tonight's just about spending time with his wife.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Time is ticking.
Nothing significant.
It's just relaxing for the evening.
Yeah, well, being clung to when Roz is done dancing. Lilith almost died. Roz isn't going to leave her alone that long.
All right, back to the awkward me then.
Mhm.
Audie was going to be wrapping up her night by, like I said, she'd go by the Daisy to enjoy a nice warm cider.
Mhm.
Probably check in to schedule some performances in the coming nights.
Sure.
And would take the present that she had purchased before the last mission and go over to Covert's desk to see if he's around.
He is, as almost always,
Mhm.
currently at his desk. Tons of open books and papers, and he's currently scrawling away at what looks like a report. He's still protected by that invisible dome, except it's just a little tighter to the desk now. It's quite lower, and so you can clearly tell he is perfectly protected under the dome.
Okay. Yeah, and she'll approach the desk and kind of with that the way you scrunch your shoulders with like cloak over her head.
Mm-hmm.
Evening there.
First of all, get out of the rain. Just make sure you duck. The barrier is in fact physical, so just be wary.
And she'll kind of prestidigitate some water off her so she's not dripping on the reports as she
Mm-hmm.
enters the space.
Appreciate it. And what brings you here wandering about in a torrential downpour in this lovely sapphiness evening?
Um, I was hoping to come see you before we left last, but I saw that you were actually enjoying yourself at the circus. Well, actually, I didn't see that you were, but you weren't here. So I was hoping you had the chance to actually take a break.
Well, of course. Of course I have to go see what my auntie's been up to and all of her friends and how they're getting along. It's not often you get a chance to talk to dragons. So, yeah, I took some time off. Left a servant here to take any pressing messages. But, yeah, I enjoyed myself. Rode some rides. Ate a bunch of sugar I didn't need to.
It's really good sugar.
Yes, I'm quite fond of the one that lets me skate on the ground, personally.
I liked the popping magical lights. That was a lot of fun. It was like having little firecrackers come out of your fingernails.
Honestly, all magic candy, I think, is probably one of the best inventions, I think, of all humanity, quite honest with you.
And she kind of stops for a minute and goes, "Oh, I did promise Orko some of my candy. I should get that to him eventually. Sorry.
Was that exchange was serious?
Not the bribe part, but I did tell him that I had some candy to share with him when we got back.
Oh, okay.
He does have a sweet tooth.
Something about Dragon Eye and sweets seems to be a thing. Don't know what it is. That's a lie. I totally know what it is. It's highly caloric, and they need a lot of energy to sustain themselves. Anyway. So.
The other part of being here
Mm-hmm.
is I kind of. And she kind of huffs and like pushes her hair out of the way because as he's just staring, I imagine the very like cool, collected, like, yes, and it's making her shifty and uncomfortable.
The hair is not ever staying out of her face. She's constantly shoving it out of the way.
Just, well, I got you a present. Except now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of second guessing the present because it's kind of a present that you could get yourself, but it seemed like the only thing I could think of that you might be lacking. And as she
Mhm.
kind of rambles, she pulls the box out from behind her and puts it on the desk. I got you the tea that you like.
Well, I'm really glad you all earned some bonuses on that last mission, because you're probably in debt to Star now.
No, not really. I was very smart about it. But you're not supposed to ask what the price of gifts anyway.
I wasn't asking.
Yep.
I know exactly how much this tea costs.
Oh, that's fair. Well, then, actually, it's because we won the game. We chased her down. Well, actually,
Oh.
Roz chased her down. She flying leaped, took her out over the top of the bar. It's quite fantastic, actually. But
And
yeah,
what was the gift at the end of the goose hunt, if you will?
were we told not to tell anyone? There was nothing like that, right?
Not that I can recall.
Not that I can recall either. Okay, just making sure, because Audie would have remembered that it was only 2 days ago. Yeah, she goes, "Oh, we got some dragon liquor." And then, because there was a group of us, she gave us all a token of her appreciation. That's not right, sportsmanship, but we got a little something, and I asked for some tea.
For little old me.
Yeah.
Star must have liked you, because the baubles she gives away do not equal the cost of this tea.
Oh, well, I still had to give her a little in exchange, but by the way you're talking about it, I'm guessing that she's still vastly underpriced this for that.
I won't go into great detail, but that box of tea that's sitting on the desk right there could afford a small home in a city.
I think she called it slightly pretentious, and then I might understand more if I met either of your parents, but you didn't hear that from me.
She's not wrong. My parents aren't innately pretentious, but they do come from high-born families, so it kind of comes with being used to luxuries. So yes, when a cup of tea can pay for a servant's whole year's salary, the perspective shifts a little. I just can't also help myself that I just really happen to like it. So in that regard, thank you. I was running low. And now I have a lot of tea.
I didn't know how much your aunt liked you and whether you'd be getting some anyway, so I'm glad it worked out.
Well, not to brag, I am her favorite nephew. And there is competition. I'm not the only one she has to pick from, to be fair.
Well, we know that there's some not Kit. What was her name?
You can do it.
I can do it.
Because Kit was her automaton.
Kit was the automaton.
Daughter of Bolts. Similar name.
I know. I was gonna say I can think of Nuts because Nuts is his
automaton.
Not Ratchet.
Closer. It's not a.
I know.
I mean, anybody? Point of inspiration. Anybody who can get it?
I'm bad with names.
Oh, God, I'm going back to my notes now.
I know. Okay, well that's where we met Kurt. Where is it? There's Kit. Rivet. There we go.
There you go.
Oh my goodness, that was too far back in my notes. She'd be like, well, I know about Rivet, but I'm guessing the other adjutants, they have children, they're also in competition for it.
Of course. I mean, so at the very least, in terms of like direct bloodline descendants of the original adjutants, there's 6 of us. But there are also others that are in a similar age bracket that are considered, nephews and nieces to the You know, the old dragon, if you will. So, do you want a cup of tea?
Well, it's kind of rude to take someone's gift that they, but it's also rude to deny somebody making you tea.
He's going to take the box that you put on the desk. He's going to open a drawer and put it in. And he's going to open up another drawer and pull out another box of the exact same tea. Oh, look. A box of tea that didn't come from you.
Oh, well, then I guess I'm obligated to say yes.
Good. And more importantly, you are correct. If you've studied your Safinist culture, it is taboo to turn down a cup of tea, especially if that person is of a considerable higher family status than yours. And accepting it could raise your own.
Well, I see. I'm understanding why Lilith's brother was so all up about if you make friends with us, then you could get friends in high places or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm a merchant's daughter. I really don't understand it.
I'll translate it for you then. Making friends with connections benefits you. I feel like that's pretty straightforward. Safinist does it all, but there's just a lot of more literal and figurative dancing around some of it. And he'll begin doing the setup for tea.
All right then. Well, I suppose after I've learned all the rites and rituals about tea, then you might have to show me some of the rituals around dancing.
I honestly think you would like some of the traditional court dances from Safinist. If only because to do them, it requires a certain attire, and it's very, very flowy, very, very lots of skirts and billowy arms and things of that nature. Very pretty.
Audie's kind of taken his seat on the stand there as she waits for the tea, and that kind of leaning forward with her fists under her chin and just like all starry-eyed listening, imagining these dresses.
He'll even like after a certain point, because waiting for, tea is an art form, and so there's time and patience involved, and during that period of time he'll pull out a blank piece of parchment and he'll quickly sketch you a couple of like rough looking court attire for dancing. Yeah, and as you can imagine, they are extremely beautiful. They have lots of like long folds of cloth, some that attach at the wrists, and then wrap around the back and attach at the waist. Things that have multiple layers around, around the legs, and torso. But nothing that is not. None of it's cumbersome. All of it allows complete freedom of movement. And he'll sit there and spend some time and like sort of talk about like what some of the dances look like. And that it is as much a faux pas to attempt to dance and stumble as it is to turn down a cup of tea.
Well, I'm gonna definitely have to learn all of these things, if nothing else, so I can share it with Roz when we have to attend a cart with Lilith.
Oh, absolutely. If Roswin's going to insist on getting in amongst many places, but including that family, knowing at least the court etiquette's going to be very important if she's going to get anywhere with a positive opinion from Lilith's mother. Lady Ilana is very intense and is one for tradition. So,
Well, yeah, if the rumors are true, I imagine intense is part of it, yeah.
given her position and her family's lineage, I couldn't imagine her being anything else. Oh, would you look at that? The tea's ready. And he will set a cup in front of you and one in front of himself. And then he will pour one for you, pour one for himself,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll set the teapot down. And then he'll look at you and he's like, and so now I'm going to reach, you're going to reach, and we're going to lift the cups at the same time. We're going to make eye contact, holding the cups up in front of us to acknowledge that this is an exchange between two peoples. And then we're both going to take a sip. And then after that, we can drop all the nonsense and just drink it like normal people.
Okay. Audie's going to do a quick insight because she's not entirely certain if he's pulling her leg, but she also doesn't want to like call him out on it because she's really interested in learning other things too.
Yeah, go for it.
That's a 13.
Seems to be truthful.
Yeah. Yeah, then she'll follow suit.
And just because I have to, this tea is absolutely based off of my favorite tea of all time. So it's an orange blossom oolong. It is subtle,
The mythical.
and floral, and delightful, and tingles the senses just a little. It's very good. I encourage anybody to try some if you can. It's great. I used to work at a tea room, and they used to order it in gigantic bags. And it was from a tea company in England, and it was amazing. Also, really, seriously, learn the temperatures that you need to steep different teas at. Everyone has a slightly different temperature, and it all matters. Yeah, and you'll sit there and you'll enjoy the tea. Like I said, it's very good. And then, like partway through, just like quiet enjoyment of it. Also, never put anything in tea offered to you by an elf. They'll never say it out loud, but they're going to judge you incredibly hard and then never speak to you again the moment you leave.
That is one thing that I'd heard, that the importance of tea is to taste the nature where it's come from, or rather that the person who designed it exactly as intended.
Correct. If you want all the extra things to be added, and go have a tea with a dwarf. They enjoy their luxury to excess, so they do milk and honey and sugars and all kinds of other syrups and things of that nature.
So even if it's not an elf made tea, so say if I had dwarven tea and drank it with an elf, they still take it that way?
Depends on who's serving it.
Very well.
Mm-hmm. Depends on who's serving and whose home or territory you're in. Seriously, I wish I didn't know all the finer details of this, but as an elf, you don't always have a choice in the memories you receive. And my parents were steeped in this stuff, tea pun intended.
Well, I'm enjoying hearing it. You can tell me all about the magical workings of tea. As long, and she kind of realizes how long she's been there. Goes, I distracting you from your work is the problem.
Well, yes, I have a couple of reports to finish, but I mean, fortunately for me, I'm a slave driver, and that one doesn't ever stop writing, so it's fine. And he juts a thumb to the unseen servant that's still just got a book in one hand and a quill in the other, and is just scratching away.
Yeah, the quill's just been moving as they've been talking.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, it's literally never stopped, and near as you've ever seen it, never has. It's always at the desk, even when covert's not, and it's always writing. Now, and I think I've been encouraged before to know when to take a break. It seems as good a time as any, especially since we're going to be getting really busy really soon.
Yeah. My mom said there might be some news about survivors from Greenwood in that camp. She's not so sure she's ready for it.
Distinctly likely and completely reasonable she feels that way. To be quite honest with you, from the early reports I've already received, I think a lot of people are going to receive a lot of good and bad news all at once. All the survivors of all the various towns along the Merchant's Way, on the west side of the Titanhorn, if they didn't get taken by Zale's troops, they were taken in by that group. So
Brings a little certainty with it in.
a little bit.
A little more anyway.
Yeah, honestly, this is the worst part of this job. Because I'm going to be the one that's going to get a lot of the information, and given that I know basically everybody in this camp, I'm going to have to deliver a lot of it.
It's not really something you can write a letter about.
No. Not really. Not responsibly.
Well, I'll offer you the same thing I offered my mum. If there's anybody, do you think there's news that I can deliver to them? I'll gladly step in, but I can understand the responsibility of it too.
I appreciate the offer, but this is my job. So
I'm not exactly the liaison of Greenwood. That's Lotus and my mum.
That's also fair. I pray for good fortune, and I pray for the return of the people of Greenwood safely. I think that is I think that's all we can do until it is clarified more. And he raises his glass up, just like up above his head, like not even for like a cheer or a toast, but like he's offering it to, somebody on looking in the clouds.
Well, I suppose then, unless less serious, well, actually still quite serious, but less somber news. I do have one question for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
What's your feelings about the and she kind of like her eyes roll side to side as she says rumors. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the rumors about the adjutant's farmer patron taking himself or being a concert?
For a security officer, he's awfully loose-lipped.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about. It is just rumors. They hear it from the Eater. I might have even been a dream.
Right, you're suddenly a prophet too, right? You can see the future?
No, I just have very vivid dreams.
Right, of course. It's weird. That's what you're dreaming about, though.
Besides, for one who apparently has no idea what I'm talking about, you seem to know an awful lot about it. And Audie's just grinning.
Well, unrelated, first I have to have a conversation with somebody that I will not name about certain things that should not be said to people.
Is it going to get in trouble?
It's going to get somebody in trouble.
It also could have actually might have overheard and they weren't telling me. They might have been telling somebody else that did have a right to know.
Nobody should have had a right to know. But again, not your problem to worry about.
It is if it comes back to me. Remember that knowing people in high places and them hating you later?
Yeah, sure. Don't worry. I mean, don't worry. Again, you guys are already doomed for whatever future Roswin and Lilith stumble into in terms of high society and people of power. Let's be serious about that for a second. Because, yeah, I won't spoil it. You'll see. You'll just find out. If you ever go to Sapphir's Court when we're not in a time of crippling war. You'll see. You'll just see. On the other side of your question, well, it was a surprise to most everybody. But I will have to admit that one adjutant who will remain unnamed totally cracked a joke about our patron, and he does heavy air quotes, being a, how did he put it? A gilf, I think is what he said. So, yeah. Lots of feelings about that. I see I've stunned you to silence.
She's kind of just blinking and smirking like, I don't think I've met a single person wearing a red cloak that would have that sense of humor, and I'm a little terrified if I ever do.
I mean, how many of us have you met?
I've met yourself, and I've
Mm-hmm.
met Star,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose Rivet wasn't wearing a cloak. So that's about it.
Well,
And then
if you
presumably
ever...
parents.
Yeah, well, to be fair, one of which wasn't an adjutant, the other one was. If you ever manage to meet the rest of our ranks, you'll soon find out that there's a certain amount of flippant disregard for authority, persons of power, and deities that is a requirement to be an adjutant. So, saying something that might normally get you smited out of existence is pretty much one of the requirements to signing on. So, yeah, it comes from my father's my father's friend, the previous leader of the adjutants. Yeah, you have to meet some of the older members to understand. It's just the best way I can put it.
I suppose one day I might.
Mm-hmm. Probably, maybe, in time. Whenever you're not trapped here in this camp.
Almost dying, drowning in the rain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, we hold a convention every year, and we're allowed to take +1s. So if it rolls around, well, if I can find you, I'll send you an invite.
My dear Covert, you ask me out on a date?
Well, technically a +1 is not a date, per se.
You're very accurate in that, yes.
But I also didn't say it wasn't. I'll leave that up to you to decide, I guess, when the time arrives.
Of course, of course. Well, then to settle the air as well, I won't be making any more gossip about the previous topic. I didn't plan to. I just figured it was...
It would be advised. Dangerous waters to tread. That's all I'm saying.
It just seemed something worth for you and yours to know.
Oh, I'm keenly aware. Do you think if the person that totally didn't say anything to you that you eavesdropped on didn't say anything to me? Hypothetically?
Honestly, trying to get a bit of a temperature to person. But it makes sense, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What a thought, huh?
It's still part of society. I've not quite wrapped my head around. Not one I'm completely against either. It's just not something to hear about in other places.
It is very, very elven. Marry for status and power, to maintain status and power, and then just have a fling with whoever you want on the side. In that way, it's actually a bit more free than a lot of other cultures that are more strictly monogamous. So, anyway, I feel like I've probably kept you for too long. Or is that your line?
It might be my line, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did say that I wouldn't keep you from your work, although I might wait in silence till the rain lets up just a little bit. But I'll. And she kind of zips her mouth. Just keep my mouth sealed with the pouch.
Well, I mean, I certainly can't kick you out in the rain. So if you need a place to stay for the time being, you're always welcome here at the desk. But alas, this report won't write itself. I mean, that's not entirely true. In time it will, but a lot of things are right.
And Audie will just settle into a silent company until, like I said, either the rain lets up or you almost see her start drifting off and goes, I should get back now, yes.
You gonna be able to get back to your camp, all right?
I know the way to go.
If you're certain.
Unless you're offering a bedroll under your desk.
All right, Melody Albrecht, I think it's time for you to go back to your tent.
And very, very sleepily, she kind of saunters away with a wave over her shoulder and wanders back to bed.
Okay. Well, after my wife has flirted with me as another person for 15 minutes, we're at time.
Sorry, and thank you for indulging me.
No problem. I'm sure it's far less awkward than when I flirt with CJ for long periods of time.
Oh, that's absolutely adorable, let's be honest.
I've gotten used to it.
The Martell stories were some of my favorite.
Well, like I said, we're at time, a little bit over even. So we're going to wrap up there tonight. And get ready for not next week, but the week after. Because I have first aid training at work, and it changes my shift around, and I'm not getting home until 4. Actually, no, I'm only getting off a shift at 4:30, aka I'm not getting home until probably 5 when game's supposed to start. So we'll.
That's a long day.
Yeah, well, I'm not doing my normal start time, which is 5 a.m. I'm starting at 8, which is at least something. Yeah. Oh, geez, if I was starting at 5 and then clocking out at 4, I would die that week because I'm doing it twice.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it should be a fine week. It just definitely bumps into game time. So next week we have off, and then for the remainder, for the remainder of October, and probably for I think if I got the vibe right, I think like 2 weeks into November we won't have Zhao. So Corona will be probably doing something in camp that is important enough to have you guys go maybe run another mission in Zhao's absence. Yeah, I think that's all it's worth noting. We talked about everything else that was important. So, at the end of the day, you probably shouldn't gossip about people and things, especially when you weren't supposed to know those people and things. And instead, you should just make good choices. Good night, everybody. We'll see you 2 weeks from now.
Thanks for hanging out, chat. You're the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Make gay choices.
Yeah, you heard the lady. Bye.
We are going to actually give a bit of a raid to our lovely Echo.
Oh, nice. Yeah, send us on over to Echo.
Yeah, playing some Diablo 4.
Very nice. Yeah, Echo and Zephyr both have been streaming a lot later on weekdays now, so we might be able to do this more regularly.
And they are quite delightful people. We'll see you in 2 weeks, chat.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And